but I'm just some guy that you guys come and watch. And for whatever reason, you've learned to care about me and what I have to say. What's going on, all you lovely people, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Michael Hora, and this is ALovelyPenguin. Welcome back. Welcome to the Waddle, my friends. Now, you guys are probably wondering, Mike, what on earth are you doing making a video? It's Monday. What are you doing? Why are you doing this to us? But we've actually hit a milestone here at ALovelyPenguin. And that is the fact that now I have been reacting to K-pop music for a full year. In fact, my very first video I put out was BTS's Spring Day reaction, and that was a year ago to the day. And I thought, you know what would be fun? Why not put together a small list? It's 9 things that I have learned about K-pop in the last year. Definitely going to be an interesting one, that is for sure. I have learned quite a bit. I've been through a lot with you guys, and I'm very, very grateful and appreciative of all of you guys here. Before we get into it, though, I will say this. It's not my 1 year of YouTube. In fact, I've actually been on YouTube for probably like 4 or 5 years at this point, actively making videos. Obviously, with some time taken off in the midst of those, but I used to do skit videos. I used to do vlog type videos. I even was doing more reaction videos prior to doing music. So there's lots and lots of content that I've been doing. However, this is the 1 year of K-pop. So I figured, let's do it. Let's make something a little crazy. Also, before we get into this, I do want to say a little bit of a disclaimer is that you guys might not like all the things I have to say. I do have a lot of positive things, but I also have a few negative things that I need to say about K-pop. So if you don't feel like you can handle that, fair play. Just letting you know right now, it's what's coming. All right, let's hit it. So to start it off with, the very first number on my list, it's you guys. It's the fandoms. The fandoms are very, very intense. And I mean that in the best way and the worst way. Just like with most things, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag of who you're going to get in these different fandoms. You know, you guys are very, very much ride or die for the groups that you guys stand, which is pretty cool. However, it can lead to a bit of toxicity amongst the different groups that you're involved with. You know, just because you like one group means you might hate another group or vice versa. And of course, there's going to be plenty of people who are multi-stans who don't really care about all that stuff. But in a sense, it still comes across with an intensity that I was not ready for coming into this. In fact, you guys probably might remember that I already started off my journey into this industry with the BTS Spring Day, and that was a bit of a negative experience. Because I said some things that, you know, in fairness, as somebody who wasn't a part of the scene, didn't know anything about it, wasn't really anything negative, not really anything that bad, but as somebody who is a longtime fan and stuff, it can be seen as ignorant or arrogant or whatever, you know? So definitely very, very intense. But like I said too, the fandoms are intense in a great way as well. We've seen awesome things happen because of the fandoms, including insane charity donations happening from the fans through the different groups that they are supporting, as well as making donations in support of people that the band supports, you know? So there's lots and lots of intensity there that I find it incredibly fascinating. It's a little terrifying, but it's also amazing all at once. Number 2 on our list is appearances. Now, in K-pop, they are incredibly intense about the way that they look. They're very particular. There's a very strict beauty standard in Korea that the idols have to try to live up to the best of their abilities. Now, I will say this, I think the fashion is very cool. I think they have some pretty dope fashion sense in that regard. However, there's a lot of it that I don't really like, which is everybody's super skinny. Like really, really skinny. It's to the point where, you know, obviously, I mean, who's hiding it? I'm a thick guy myself. It just makes me a bit nervous for them, because they're people who are going out there and putting out incredibly strenuous dances and performances, and yet they're starving themselves in order to fit into the clothes that they need to fit into and to look the way that they need to look for the magazines and stuff, just so that people won't bully them. You know, for me personally, I don't like that part of K-pop. I think it's incredibly toxic. I think it's unfair and unsafe for the performers, and I'd love to see things go in a healthier route, you know. But hey, the fashion sense is pretty dope. Also, I love the hair. I've mentioned that over and over again. I think dyed hair and like making it all sorts of different crazy colors and stuff is awesome. So just like with the other ones so far, there's a little bit of good, a little bit of bad. That's the way it's gonna be for most of these, just so you know. Just a little heads up for you guys. Number 3, training. Now, training. This kind of goes hand in hand with schooling and stuff in South Korea. It's another thing that makes me nervous for the new trainees who are coming into these different labels, these organizations and whatnot, because a lot of the appearance issues that are being brought up in these kids' lives are from the trainee days. You know, like they're being told they're not pretty enough, they're being told they're not handsome enough, they're being told they're too fat, they're being told they're too strong, they're told they're not I don't know, their eyes don't look right. They're getting told all these ridiculous things, you know, and then on top of it, they're putting in outlandish hours. In every single guide that we've reacted to on this channel, I've watched and seen how hard each group has struggled and fought and pushed themselves in training in order just to make it through to their debuts. It's crazy. And it's nice to see that as they get a little older, things kind of lighten up a bit, and they are, you know, allowed to train at their own pace a little bit more, even though it's still like every day and whatnot, but it's just a little less intensive. It's as somebody who quite enjoys mental health, psychology, and all that kind of stuff, it's something that can be incredibly detrimental to people, is having to work with that much intensity for so long. It's unhealthy, and it leads to a lot of the other things that I've already said that I don't really like. So there you go. Number 4, the message. Now, this is something I absolutely love in K-pop, is that for the most part, almost all the groups that we've reacted to thus far, obviously there's going to be a few songs that they have that don't really have much meaning, they're just more fun and whatever, but for the most part, their songs all have meaning, they all have depth, they all have a message that they're trying to put out into the world. In fact, for me, the thing that actually really drew me into the band BTS, seeing as they were the first group that I reacted to, was the fact that they are pushing out positive mental health, they're pushing out positive lifestyles and stuff, and they're also kind of fighting against some of the things that they seem as unfair in culture, you know? And that for me is something that I'm trying to do with everything I'm doing, with my entertainment, with my YouTube channel, with my TikToks, my Twitch, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to put out a positive message, because honestly, this world is very dark and it's very dingy and it's a tough place to be in. But if we kind of come together and work together and try to be a positive force, and I'm not saying it in like in a toxic positivity way where it's like nothing bad ever happens type of an ideal or whatever, because bad things do happen, you have to deal with it, you have to face it. However, the attitudes that we put forward in moving forward, if we put a positive spin on things, it can help us get out of those dark and dingy places, but still acknowledging that they're there along the way, right? So that really helped bring me in. And then obviously starting to react to other K-pop groups and stuff, it has led to me being able to see each one of these groups and see the things that are important to them and see the changes that they want to make in the world. And it's inspiring and it's awesome. It's something I genuinely love about this industry. Number 5, being a fan. Now, being a fan, that is something that I never knew I was going to need to learn how to do, if that makes any sense. I have been a big fan of music for as long as I can remember. I have always loved music. I've played music. I've been around it. I've been to plenty of concerts. But nothing has been even close to what it is like to be a fan of K-pop music. I have never in my life had to do homework in order to listen to a group and understand their message, understand the music video, understand the song, the meaning behind the songs. I've never had to look up anything about anything. But in K-pop, that's a common occurrence where I'm constantly leaving videos where I don't fully understand what's happened, and then I will get essay after essay in the comment section, which, again, not a bad thing. And actually, it's nice because I'm learning, which is great, you know? But I'm getting like paragraph and paragraph and paragraph from you guys explaining all these things that you would never know by just sitting and watching one of their videos and listening to the songs and reading the lyrics and stuff. Like, it's actually crazy. It's nuts. It's bonkers. It's mind-blowing to me that I have to do so much just to understand a song. It's I mean, for some people that's a really awesome and amazing thing, and honestly, in terms of reacting, I think it makes for better content just because it allows me to explore further in and make videos that are a little more in depth too, which personally I like doing anyway. So it's a mixed bag on how I feel about that, where I'm like, it's kind of cool, but it's also kind of nuts. So there you go. All right, number 6, Aegyo face, or Aegyo in general. It's creepy. I don't like it even in the slightest. I think it is utterly weird. Now, this is going to be something that I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be mad at me for, which is fine. This is my personal opinions. It doesn't necessarily mean that I am correct. I am not stating these as fact. I am stating them as things that I personally feel. So if you get mad about it, tough noogies. The way that these groups look at youth, I think, is incredibly unhealthy. I think it's not just a K-pop thing. I think it's more of a cultural thing with Korea, because I know it's not just in K-pop. I know it goes and falls into other areas of culture over there as well. But it's weird. It's a strange thing to act like a child all the time and to be very cutesy, and it's something that makes me personally feel uncomfortable. And I say this not just pointing it at the guys, which honestly I do think is strange that guys are doing it, but the fact that the women are also doing it as well is double creepy. It's still just as weird. I feel like it promotes wanting to be with younger and younger people, which for me leads it to, honestly, to predatory areas where I don't feel right. Personally, I used to work with high school and middle school students, and you know, it was something that we had to watch out for. It was things that I had to be trained on to see when you know, to make sure that we were taking care of the kids in a way where there was never the need to worry about a threat, whether from adults or anything like that, especially when trying to get new volunteers involved. So for me, it just sets off red flags to the point where I personally am incredibly uncomfortable with it. So I know that's going to make people mad at me and whatever, and you might come up with the argument of saying, well, it's okay because they're all adults. Yes and no. Yes and no. Like, yeah, it's fine that they're an adult, and you know, you can view an adult in whatever light that you want. But if something that attracts you more to an adult is that they are looking and acting more like a child, it's creepy. Plus, a lot of groups, especially debuting groups, are still very young. In fact, a group that I love them very, very dearly because their music is awesome, but I feel very strange watching their videos and stuff, is New Jeans, because their group is very young. I think only one of them, at least if they were in the States, are like I think they're like an illegal adult. Like the rest of them are kids. They're still teenagers. Like, it's a weird thing. And yeah, and as a male, I definitely think about that kind of stuff where I'm like, this feels creepy, because I don't ever want to be conceived as a creep. Because I'm not, because I don't like that stuff. I like women who are my own age. In fact, I also know that standing doesn't necessarily mean you have a crush on any of them, but the way I kind of view it personally is more like it's like who you have a crush on. I know that's not the overarching thing, but like the people I stand, they're the ones who their group concept is more mature now, you know? Like, honestly, it's like the thing that I actually love about Twice is that they're definitely have evolved with their time in the industry. Like they've definitely grown a lot and are mature, or more mature at least, in their newer concepts and stuff. So yeah, Aegyo is a big no thank you from me. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get ripped apart for that, I feel like. And of course, people are going to be like, you don't get it because you're an American. I'm like, no, I do. I do get it. It's creepy. Number 7. And this one kind of goes hand in hand with most of the other ones that I have said thus far. And it's culture. It's culture. So, with the South Korean culture, I don't think me and them get along quite that well. I think culturally there is a lot of differences in the way that I am, being from the United States, versus how South Korea is. Personally, for me, it feels like they're behind on the times a little bit, especially being a lot more conservative and definitely not as open to like the LGBTQ plus and all that kind of stuff. It's things that are changing. Like, we're definitely seeing changes. We're also seeing groups that are standing up against that kind of political ideologies, which is pretty cool. And I think that's amazing. However, at the same time, I have noticed in quite a few different times where culturally things are just different. Like, even just the way that I talk, sometimes people get offended, you know? Like, I called BTS my boys. There's no possession there, you know? For me, it's one of those things where it's like, they're my homies, my guys, my friends, my dudes, my man, my boy, whatever, you know? It's a term of endearment, but then people get mad. But that's a thing. It's a cultural difference. It's a cultural shock to me, personally, you know? And that's the thing. It's kind of the lovely thing about it, though, is like you get to see other people's cultures. You get to appreciate them. You get to see the positives that are in there, too. Like, honestly, work ethic is a thing that I think is very much done differently, and respect are done very differently from the way I'm used to it over here, you know? for the most part, I think I have a pretty darn good work ethic, but I do know a lot of people who don't. And I didn't take school seriously, and like over in Korea, that's a whole different view, you know? I also come from a family where, you know, it was a rough upbringing where I didn't exactly get along with my siblings or my parents or anything like that. We fought a lot, and I rebelled a lot and whatnot. And in fairness, things have gotten a lot better. I love all my family very much, dearly, and I consider myself friends and homies with my siblings again, and all that kind of stuff. But our relationship isn't as strict as you would see in a Korean household, you know? Which, again, I could see the positives and negatives from both sides. Like, honestly, I kind of wish my parents were a little more strict with me growing up. I think it would have really helped. It would have helped me focus. It would have helped me to, you know, really hone in on the skills that I do have, and be able to manage myself a little bit better now that I'm an adult, you know? However, at the same time, too, I do have a incredible sense of identity because of it, because I had to grow up, and at a very early age, I'm very independent. I know how to take care of myself. I know how to make sure that I'm going to be okay. And that's because I didn't really have anybody taking care of me that well growing up, you know? So again, there's ups and downs in both sides. So obviously just not trying to just shoot shots at anybody else, but yeah, culture. It's different everywhere, and it's nice to be able to appreciate other people's cultures as well. Number 8. I'm just going to call this one me. Just going to call this one me. So, I have never really had this many eyes on me in my life. I haven't had this many people watching me. I have not had this many people interacting with me in my entire life. You know, in terms of the whole YouTube space, it's not that many people, considering we're still just shy of 10K at this point, subs. However, in real life, if 10,000 people were standing in front of me and watching me all the time, that'd be horrifying. You know? And this one kind of goes with the intensity of the groups and stuff. But for the most part, a thing that I've noticed is, and I'm hoping this will change as my channel continues to grow, as I continue to put out content and stuff, but people always tend to think the worst of me immediately. And when I say that, I mean, it's like people assume that I have negative intentions all the time, or that I'm just faking liking K-pop music just for the clout and stuff. And it hurts. It hurts that I feel like I still have to defend myself, even though I've made a year's worth of content. And like, I'm pumping out content at levels that most are not. I'm putting a lot of work into this. Plus, I listen to this stuff on my own, on the regular now. Like, I genuinely enjoy this. A goal of mine from the start has been to always be incredibly honest and genuine with everything that I have to say. So if I don't like a song, I typically will tell you guys. And in fairness, I've told you guys I didn't like songs that I then listen to once or twice more off camera, and then I start to like it. I've also said I like songs, and then I've listened to them off camera, and then I start to not like them, and I take them off of my playlist, you know? And that's part of being a person. And then the other way that people think of me negatively, it's again, it goes with the whole cultural differences. And I know, in fairness, the vast majority of you, when I look at the analytics, are not from the United States. In fact, only about 25% of the people watching this channel are actually from the United States. So there are certain things that have happened throughout the year that people will constantly say stuff, and it's just confusing to me. And in fairness too, like I say, I do read the comments. I do, even if I don't actually comment anything back, I'll usually at least like it. That's more for me, just so that I can see that I actually read it already and I don't I don't keep just rereading the same comments over and over again and lose my mind. But I see all the comments, and I see people who comment on multiple videos. Like, I recognize your names, and, and like, you know, and this isn't everybody, of course, this is not everybody, but I have seen a few, and I'm not going to call anybody out or anything, but like, the biggest one that pops to my mind was when I was watching TXT, and I labeled the video as, "Is this the next BTS?" Right? Now, of course, nobody wants to ever be outshadowed by the bigger older brother, you know, whatever. But here in the United States, that's a big compliment. If you compare somebody to somebody else in their field who is further along in their career, they've already done what they're trying to do, it's a big compliment. You know, I myself, I'm desiring to become an actor one day. And when somebody says like, "Man, I think you could be the next Chris Pratt," or "I think you could be the next Henry Cavill," or whoever, you know, like any big star, I'm flattered. You know, I'm flattered to hear that. I don't think, "Oh, I'm Mike. Like, my name is Mike O'Hora. Like, I'll never be Chris Pratt." Like, it's something that, it's confusing. It's confusing to hear people get immediately mad at me and think that I am just doing things to make people angry. Which, in fairness, the title in and of itself is clickbait. 100%. It's 100% clickbait. It's something that's supposed to make you draw your eyes in and be like, "Oh, this group is that good?" Is the mindset I was going with. Everybody else came in and was like, "Who the fuck is this guy? He thinks he can say this about my favorite group? Like, I'm gonna shit on his video." You know, and it's yeah, it's just one of those things that it does bother me. And then there's the other comments that are more backhanded comments. They're backhanded compliments where people will say, "Wow, I guess you really do like this, huh? Guess I'll subscribe," or something like that along those lines. And it's like, yeah, man, like, no shit, I like this. Dude, I'm making nothing. I'm putting myself in horrifyingly stressful situations in order to keep up with the pace that I've made, an outlandish pace of putting out videos. I put out like 6 to 8 videos a week while working full time and trying to stream and trying to have a life. And I'm making almost nothing from doing this. Like, I'm not gaining anything. Like, I'm gaining subs. That's it. Like, I'm not earning, you know what I mean? And like, the few times that I've made videos that are trying to step away from videos that always get copyright claimed, nobody watches those anyway. They'll get like maybe 200, 300 views compared to the couple thousand that any reaction video I do will get, you know? So like, if I really hated doing this, it's like I could always just find another topic. You know what I mean? Why, like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's just the way that I personally think. I don't know why anybody would do something like this for clout. It seems very excessive. It seems very excessive just for a little bit of clout. That's all I'm saying. And also, again, too, I will also say, it's not everybody. It is absolutely not everybody. So if you're not one of those people and you don't feel uncomfortable with me saying this, you're probably not who I'm talking to. So don't get mad in the comments about it as well. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously, being in a more public eye, you have a lot more people looking at you. You have a lot more eyes on what you're doing. And yeah, it's I'm just seeing how tough it is, that I'm like, okay, this is actually harder than I was expecting it to be, is all I wanted to say, you know. Number 9, my last number. My worldview is the last one. I used to think that I had an incredibly large worldview. I thought that I understood people. I thought I understood the way that majority of people think. I thought I understood the majority of how the world works. I thought I knew a good enough amount of history that I could get by and understand a lot of things. And boy, howdy, have I been proven incredibly, incredibly wrong. My worldview is actually pretty small. And it's one of those things that as I learn more and more and more, I also learn just how much I don't actually know. You know? It's one of those things where, yeah, there's a lot of things happening in all parts of the world that I never really noticed. In fact, it's something that, in fairness, I think it happens to people everywhere. You fall into your own bubble, your own world, and for the most part, it feels like that's typically more like your own country. Sometimes, at least in the United States, it could just be within your own state too, you know? Because the US is a very big place. I can tell you this, I have no idea what's going on in Idaho. You know, like, I don't know what's happening over there. I don't know if there's anything cool or bad or good or evil or whatever happening over there. But we're in the same country, you know what I mean? And Idaho's not even that far from here. But all that being said is, I am just incredibly thankful for everybody who has been commenting, everybody who has been watching my videos, talking to me, coming out to my streams and stuff, and actively participating, people Instagramming me or DMing me on Instagram and stuff to share information with me. It's been incredibly eye-opening, and it's flattering, to be honest. Like, who am I but just some random dude who's sitting in a small bedroom in Los Angeles, barely scraping by, who's an idiot, who doesn't know anything about K-pop, who doesn't know that much about music, in fairness. But I'm just some guy that you guys come and watch, and for whatever reason you've learned to care about me and what I have to say. You know, it's something that is not at all what I expected to be doing at this point in life. I never expected to be doing anything like this at this point in life. But all that being said is, I'm incredibly grateful, and it's exciting to know that there are people all over the world that I can connect with while I'm sitting alone in my bedroom. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing, and honestly, it's largely YouTube, but at the same time, it's the world of K-pop that has really done that for me. So as much as there's things that I don't like about it, and as much as there's things that I do like about it, at the end of the day, I'm incredibly thankful for the opportunity to be making these videos, for the opportunity to have even just a small sliver of your time, an opportunity to make you laugh, to make you cry, to make you think, to make to make this connection that, you know, in all fairness and all rights, I shouldn't even be able to do, you know? And that's the glory of the internet, I guess. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope that you guys enjoy this. Hopefully I didn't make anybody too mad. Maybe I'll put a little bit of a disclaimer at the beginning of the video. Because yeah, there's some tough points in there. But yeah, guys, I'm just gonna keep sharing a little bit of my gratitude here. But I've been struggling incredibly tough, and I guess trigger warning for depression, if that's something. I don't think I'm gonna say anything too bad, so you know, viewer discretion advised. But I have been suffering with a very, very serious depression for, I guess, like 4 years now, where I've been having a very hard time pulling myself out of. And it started before the pandemic started, but the pandemic didn't help. It just made it way, way worse. And I've been struggling. I've been spiraling, and it's been an incredibly difficult time in my life, and I've wanted to give up a lot. I've wanted to run away a lot. I've wanted to hide a lot. And it still happens to this day where I just want to quit and never do this ever again, and quit my job and move back home and just hide away in a little hidey hole and never to be seen by anybody again. But each time I sit down to make a video, it feels like I kind of have to force myself into doing it, to force myself through the depression. But then I start filming, and I start thinking about you guys, and I start watching these videos, listening to the songs, reading the lyrics, and it just brings out such a positive place for me, a positive thing for me. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, people always say do the things that you love and stuff, but I wouldn't keep doing this if you guys weren't watching. And I'll be very honest about that. I know for a fact that if we got down to the point where like no one is watching, even if it's just a handful of people, I would quit. And that's me being very honest. I know a lot of people say I would even do it for one person. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't. I don't know if that makes me a bad guy or not, but my dream and my goal is to entertain people and bring a little bit of positivity back into their lives, and you all have allotted me to do that. It's given me an incredible sense of purpose. It's given me an incredible drive, and yeah, I'll forever be thankful to each and every one of you who's watching. So thank you guys, thank you so much. Definitely end off on a very, very serious bit there, but I only share that kind of stuff too because I know I'm not alone in that. I know I'm not alone. And you know, maybe your thing's not being in front of people, being in front of a camera, but you can find something in your life that is gonna bring that kind of happiness out for you. I'm just an incredibly extroverted person in that regard, where I love entertaining people. It's been a drive for me my entire life. That's why I've always been a goofball. That's why I've always been the silly guy, the one who's always down to make people laugh and whatnot. But everybody has their own thing. So I'm just hoping that I can be inspiring to you a little bit to find that thing for yourselves, so that you don't have to feel the way that I feel all the time. Yeah, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. It is. And don't get me wrong, please, I'm going to say this more for you guys to help keep me accountable, but I'm really struggling to learn these dances. You know, a friend of the channel, a common commenter, our friend Carol, she kind of pointed this one out to me, and we were just actually chatting over comments just before I filmed this here. And yeah, for a while I was telling you guys that I was practicing really hard and I'm getting things ready. And to be honest with you, I haven't been practicing all that hard at that point, and I've only just recently started practicing. And to be fair, I wouldn't even consider it that I'm practicing very hard. I'm trying, but I am finding myself discouraged because I'm not doing a good job, and I want to be able to do a good job. I have a very ambitious idea of what I want to make for our 10K video, and currently my skill level, I won't be able to do it, and it's incredibly frustrating, and it makes me want to never do it. So getting myself up to practice has been incredibly difficult. So I don't know, every once in a while, if anybody wants to check in on how that's going, it'll help keep me accountable that I'm actually going to keep doing it. Because regardless, no matter what, I'm going to push myself, even if I fucking hate it, to make that video happen. And I know I'm not going to enjoy the practicing part, but once I actually film the video and get it happening, I'm going to love it. Or maybe I won't. Maybe dancing isn't my thing. I don't know. I do like dancing in general. I just am not great at choreographed dancing. So it's a very, very tough. So, yeah. Help keep me accountable, and I'll try my best to help keep you guys accountable for anything you need. So if you do need something, let me know, I guess. But yeah, with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. These were my 9 things that I've learned from K-pop in the past year, in 1 year of being a K-pop listener. And yeah, I love you all. Stay aggressively positive. Have a fantastic week, and we'll catch you on the next one. Love you. Bye. I used the wrong hand on my exit. Usually I do that and then I click and then it's like, goodbye.